All right, well, thanks everybody for coming out, for, spending your whole day not out in the sun, but in this wonderful room, getting together, coding together, sharing, doing some learning together. So I want to get us to pairing up and coding probably around 9:15 we'll start, actually like hands-on keyboards. What I want to do is talk briefly about what Code Retreat is, where it came from, what the point of it is, and what we're going to try to get out of it today. And then talk about the mechanics of it, how the day is going to go. We'll talk about the problem that we're working on, and then we'll get started coding, because you didn't come here to listen to me talk all day long. We came here to write some code. So Code Retreat started a couple of years ago when a few of us, there were 4 of us at a conference in, I'm going to assume you guys don't know where Sandusky, Ohio is. No? Okay, well, it's in Ohio, by Lake Erie, and it's very cold in the winter. I don't know if you guys know what cold is. But, so every January, a group of us get together and we have a conference there. And there's like this much snow outside. But we have the conference inside a water park. So it's an indoor water park with water slides and pools and all this stuff. So outside, it's like minus 100 degrees Celsius. Inside, it's like 200 degrees. It's hot. You're in t-shirts and shorts. And it's a wonderful conference for a couple days. And it's called Code Mash. You should come down to it in January. But what a couple of us were talking and had some ideas about, normally when we're coding and when we're building software, we are always trying to finish. So we're, whether it's at work and you're paid to produce software, or whether it's on the side, maybe you have a side project or you contribute to an open source project. But we always have this goal of finishing it. And we always have this feeling of pressure to get done. And because of that, we tend to cut corners. We tend to not write the greatest code that we can. And we, sorry. So we tend to have, maybe not test as much as we should. Maybe we make our methods too long. Maybe we don't name things well enough. Because we want to get stuff done. And so we have this idea of what would happen if we tried to get together and not finish anything. So could we have a day where we simply coded for the sake of writing code and practicing? The idea being that imagine if you went to see a band. You went out to see your favorite musical band. And the only time they played their instruments was on stage. They never even touched their guitar at home. They just played and they did that. It wouldn't be very good. You wouldn't want to go see them. But yet, that's how we code. Every day we're performing, and we don't do a lot of job of just sitting there playing scales. Going through it, or playing little pieces. And what that does to us is it causes us to just, over time we get better, but we don't really get that much better. maybe we're lucky and we stumble upon something. And so we thought, what if we actually just practiced? What if we took the idea of focused practice for the sake of practice and got together and did it? So we got a bunch of people together in Ann Arbor, Michigan, another nice cold place in January. JB flew in from Dauphin, Manitoba at the time. And we thought, so what we did was we said, let's try to make it so that you can't finish the problem. What would happen if we set up the day so that you coded and coded, but you couldn't finish? And could we make it so that the pressure to finish, that pressure that we're trying to get done, that the pressure that causes us to not write beautiful, perfect code, what if we could make that pressure go away? So over the last couple years, we've been fiddling a little bit, but have kind of settled on it. And a lot of it comes into that today is the day that in all of our heads, we all have that view of, if you had all of the time in the world, so suppose Monday or Tuesday, because it's a holiday Monday, suppose Tuesday you go into work and your manager comes and says, you know what, take as much time as you need. Just take as much time as you need. We would write this beautiful code. Our systems would be glorious. They would be easy to change. They would be easy to understand. Beautiful code. That's sort of the ideal. Here's where we really, if we had all the time in the world, we would do wonderful testing. We would do all of these. Man, it would be great. So that's sort of up here. But most of the time, we code down here. We have this view of how we should code if we had no pressure. But we actually code here because we have all of this pressure. And I'd like to say that this gap here, it's really a measure of how much we suck at being software developers. How bad of software developers we are.
That means we're all losers?
No, it doesn't mean we're losers. It means we suck. We're not very good at software development. For the most part, we write systems that are hard to maintain, they are hard to understand, they're buggy, crash a little bit. So the reason being that we always are trying to get it done, we have to cut corners. It's part of our job is to write not perfect software because we've got this pressure on us. If we were if we had perfected it already, suppose you are the greatest developer ever and you've got it all down. How boring is that? You know, there's always a little bit better. So what today is about getting a little bit closer to writing great software and writing code that is easily maintainable, easily understandable, tested, doesn't have mistakes that we've made. And so what we want to do is we want to get closer to that ideal. We want to spend the day practicing doing our scales so that we get a little bit better. Now, of course, when you get close to that ideal starts to go farther above. Because we all know, if you've been doing this for any amount of time, every time you learn something, you realize that there's more. And again, I watched, do you guys have Wendy's up here?
Sadly, yes.
Okay. Wendy's has a training video for how to flip burgers. They know it. This is how you flip burgers. You put the burger on, there's a special 4-corner press that you do, and then you press in the middle and you flip it, and as soon as a little bit of red comes up, you do another time. They've mastered flipping Wendy's hamburgers. So what they can do is they can tell people, you learn how to do this and it's done. You don't have to think anymore. If software was like that, how boring our job would be. Our lives would be, man, I just can't imagine. So as we get better, hopefully, the ideal goes even more. We learn more principles. We learn, little tricks. We learn how to better name things. So that's what today is really about. It's about finding the thing that you can improve upon and practicing improving upon it. When I was learning to play guitar, I had a really hard time moving from the G chord to the D chord. It's a tough one when you start there. You do it enough times, and it doesn't become hard anymore. It's just your hand naturally can do it. And so that's one of the things that we're going to practice today.